I was sitting on my porch this morning, watching a bird try to build a nest in the gutter. It kept dropping the same twig over and over. I thought about how much energy we spend on things that don't matter. I'm Margaret. I'm 83 years old. If you're younger than me, what I'm about to say might sound like giving up. It's not. If you're closer to my age, you already know what I mean. You've felt the weight lift. There are things I cared about for decades, deeply, urgently, that I simply don't care about anymore. And losing that care didn't diminish me. It freed me. I used to think that letting go meant defeat. Now I know it's the closest thing to wisdom I've ever found. When I was younger, I cared desperately about being right. In arguments with Richard, I would hold my position like it was sacred ground. I'd remember every detail of who said what and when, building my case in my head while he was still talking. I believed that being right meant something, that it proved I was smart or justified or worthy of respect. I can't tell you exactly when I stopped caring about that. It wasn't a decision. It was erosion, like water wearing down stone. I remember one afternoon, maybe 10 years ago, my daughter called. She was telling me about some decision she'd made. I don't even remember what it was now. Parenting choice, maybe, or something about her job. And I could feel it rising in me, the need to correct her, to explain why she was wrong, why my way was better. I opened my mouth to say it, and then I just didn't. Not because I'd decided to be kind, but because I suddenly couldn't remember why it mattered. What difference would it make if she knew I disagreed? Would it change her decision? Would it bring us closer? Would either of us remember this conversation in a year? No. So I said, "That sounds like you've thought it through." And we kept talking. That was the beginning, the first thread pulling loose. Now I almost never care about being right, not because I don't have opinions, I do, but because I finally understand that being right and being connected are often opposites. You can win the argument and lose the person. I did that so many times I lost count. With Richard, with my children, with friends I no longer speak to. I was right, and I was alone. That's not wisdom. That's just sad. I used to care what people thought of me, not everyone, but enough people that it shaped every decision I made. When I was in my 40s, I turned down a promotion because I was afraid of what it would look like. A woman my age, traveling for work, leaving her family, people would talk. They'd say I was selfish, that I thought I was better than I was. I told myself I was being practical, but the truth, I was afraid of judgment. I spent decades like that, adjusting myself to fit what I thought other people expected. I dressed a certain way, kept my house a certain way, talked about certain things, and never mentioned others. I remember once a neighbor asked me how I was doing. This was maybe a year after Richard died, and I said, "Fine, keeping busy." I wasn't fine. I was drowning in silence. But I couldn't say that because I'd spent my whole life believing that struggling meant you were doing something wrong. So I smiled, and she smiled back, and we both pretended we believed each other. Now, I don't care. Not in a cruel way. I'm not trying to shock anyone or make people uncomfortable. I just finally understand that what people think of me is none of my business. It never was. They're going to think what they think based on their own fears and assumptions and the mood they're in when they see me. I can't control that. I couldn't even if I tried for another 83 years. The freedom in that realization is enormous. Last month, I went to the grocery store in my house slippers, not because I forgot to change, but because my feet hurt and I didn't feel like putting on real shoes. Old Margaret would have been mortified, would have apologized to the checkout clerk, made some excuse. Current Margaret bought her groceries and went home. And you know what? The world didn't end. I used to care about staying relevant. This one hurts more than the others, so forgive me if I take my time with it. When I was working, I was useful. People needed me to answer phones, file papers, keep things running. I wasn't important, but I was necessary. Then I retired, and suddenly I wasn't. The world kept turning without me. The office hired someone new. The systems I knew became obsolete. I tried to stay current for a while, read the news religiously, learned how to use email, then social media, though I never understood why anyone cared what I had for breakfast. But there was this underlying panic, this feeling that if I fell too far behind, I'd become invisible, irrelevant, one of those old people young folks humor but don't actually listen to. And the truth is, I did become that. My grandchildren visit sometimes. They're polite, but when I ask them about their lives, I can see them searching for the simplified version, the one that won't require explanation. They don't think I'll understand their world. And mostly they're right. I don't know their music. I don't understand their jokes. The problems they're worried about feel foreign to me, even though I know they shouldn't. For a long time, that hurt. Now, I've stopped fighting it. I'm not relevant anymore. I'm not shaping the future. I'm not in the conversation. And that's okay, because relevance isn't the same as worth. I still matter to the people who love me, even if I don't matter to the world. And the people I love, they don't need me to be current. They need me to be present. There's a difference. My youngest granddaughter, she's 16. She came over a few weeks ago, upset about something, friend drama, I think. She didn't need me to understand her world. She needed me to sit with her while she cried, to hand her tissues, to not minimize what she was feeling. I didn't have advice. I didn't try to relate it to something from my own youth. I just stayed, and after a while she said, "Thanks, Grandma." That mattered more than being relevant ever did. I used to care about things being fair. Life isn't fair. I know that's not news. Everyone says it, but I didn't just know it intellectually. I felt it. The unfairness burned. Why did some people get easy lives while I struggled? Why did Richard die and leave me alone while other couples got to grow old together? Why did my children move away when I'd sacrificed everything for them? I kept a mental ledger of all the ways I'd been shortchanged. It poisoned everything, made every good thing feel insufficient because it wasn't making up for what I'd lost. I don't carry that ledger anymore, not because life became fair. It didn't, but because I finally understood fairness is a child's concept. The universe doesn't owe me balance. Some people get more than they deserve. Some get less. Most of us get a mixture that makes no sense at all. And spending my energy being angry about that didn't change anything. It just made me bitter. Now, when something unfair happens, and things still do. I feel it, I acknowledge it, and then I let it go. Not because I'm enlightened, but because I'm tired. And bitterness takes more energy than I have left. I used to care about being comfortable. This might sound strange, but hear me out. I spent most of my life avoiding discomfort. Physical, emotional, all of it. I didn't have hard conversations because they made me anxious. I didn't try new things because failing would be embarrassing. I didn't push myself because what if I couldn't do it? I kept my life small and manageable, safe, and I thought that was smart, sensible. Now I see it was just fear wearing a responsible mask. The things I regret most aren't the times I was uncomfortable. They're the times I avoided discomfort and missed something real. I regret not telling Richard I needed more from him emotionally. That conversation would have been excruciating, but we might have found something closer to real intimacy instead of just endurance. I regret not going back to school when I had the chance. It would have been hard, juggling it with children, but I might have discovered a version of myself I never got to meet. I regret not staying in touch with my parents after we moved cities. The calls would have been awkward sometimes, but I'd have more than the handful of memories I'm left with now. Comfort kept me safe, but it also kept me small. Now, at 83, I'm too old for most kinds of growth. My body hurts. My mind isn't as sharp. I can't start over. But I don't care about comfort anymore. Not the way I used to. If something matters, I'll do it, even if it's hard. Last year I called my daughter, the one I dismissed when she cried as a teenager. I told her I was sorry, that I'd been wrong. It was one of the hardest conversations I've ever had. She cried, I cried, but afterward something changed between us. Not fixed, exactly, but softened. I should have had that conversation 30 years ago, but I'm grateful I had it at all. Here's what I do still care about. The people I love, not their accomplishments or their problems I can solve. Just them, their existence, the small moments, morning light, birds, the way tea tastes when I slow down enough to notice. Being kind, not nice, I'm past pretending, but genuinely kind when it costs me something. The truth, not being right, just being honest, even when it's uncomfortable, and time, whatever's left of it. Because here's what I've learned after 83 years. Most of what we worry about doesn't matter. Most of what we're afraid of never happens. Most of what we think we need, we don't. And the things that do matter, connection, presence, honesty, kindness, we often ignore because we're too busy caring about everything else. If you're taking what I'm saying seriously, then I need you to do something. Think about what you're carrying that you don't need to carry anymore. Is it someone's opinion of you? Let it go. Their judgment says more about them than about you. Is it the need to be right? Let it go. Being connected matters more than being correct. Is it old anger about unfairness? Let it go. It's not helping you. It's just making you heavy. And then, and this is the important part, take whatever energy you've been spending on those things and redirect it. Call someone you've been meaning to call, not tomorrow, today, right now, before you forget or talk yourself out of it. Tell someone you love them, not because it's a special occasion, just because it's true. Do something uncomfortable if it matters. Have that hard conversation. Try that thing you're afraid of. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. You don't have as much time as you think you do. None of us do. I thought I had forever to fix things with Richard, to be honest with my children, to become who I was supposed to be. I didn't, but you still might. Don't waste it caring about things that won't matter when you're sitting where I'm sitting. Care about what's real, what's true, what connects you to the people and moments that make life worth living. Everything else, let it fall away. You'll be lighter without it. Thank you for sitting with me this morning, for letting an old woman tell you what she wishes she'd known sooner. If this helped, I'll be here. You can come back any time. Take care of yourselves and let go of what doesn't serve you. There's freedom waiting on the other side.